I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome here as we get ready for qualifying in preparation for race number 12 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series here at the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. This is Darlington Raceway making its 7th appearance on the schedule, a track that in the past has given us some first-time winners, maybe doing the same here tomorrow evening, but we've got to set the field. 44 drivers look to clinch one of the 42 available spots. 2 drivers will be going home. One of the non-charter drivers will be here in the first of our 2 groups in round 1, and the other 3 will be in the second group just after this, which there are going to be 15 minutes in each one of these 2 groups for the first round. Top 5 speeds from Group A and top 5 speeds from Group B will advance into the Fast 10. The one driver in this group, Matthew Rodriguez, will set the benchmark for the other 3 non-charter drivers to try to beat it in order to advance into tomorrow night's main event. We're looking at the 2 of Dylan Young out on the racetrack. Talk about drivers getting their first career wins at this racetrack. Dylan Young falls into that category. Got his first career win here at Darlington back in Season 2. Former winner this season. And looking to be a 2-time winner on the year. Ford has won the last 2 races so far with Casey Hoyt at Coke Zero 2 weeks ago and last week with Caleb Fogler. Dylan Young clocking in at a 29.813. I feel like this is going to be a similar qualifying session as last week was, in terms of the fact that we're going to see the speeds come in early on in the session. Maybe some drivers will be able to put in some last-minute lap times near the end of the session, but I feel that with Darlington known as a tire shredding racetrack, we're going to see the lap times taper off. You're going to want to get those money laps in the first 1, 2, 3 out laps. Already Dylan Young, who was the first one on the racetrack, put down the first lap, has dropped to, well, it was 6th, and now to 8th. His teammate right behind him, RJ Bishop, he's now on the clock. RJ Bishop with a great run last week. Up 5 spots in the standings to 15th. Was a 2-time winner last year and looking for that first trip to victory lane here in Season 7. Starting to slowly climb his way up towards the top 10 in overall points. I want to talk about another driver that's also climbing up through the point standings. That'd be Benjamin Miles, up 3 spots last week. From 19th to 16th coming into this one. Benjamin Miles tried to be the first Chevrolet to go to victory lane here at Darlington since Season 5. I believe Toyota has 1 victory here, Ford has 2, and Chevrolet has 3. And all five of our, or actually correction, all six of our previous race winners are attempting to qualify for this race. We know that at least 3 of them are guaranteed into the field. The other 3, it's up in the air. Michael Norman, he was on a skid the last couple of weeks. Decent outing last week has stopped the bleeding. He's 19th in points, gained 4 spots in the overall standings there as we look at this side-by-side battle between him and Benjamin Miles. Maybe give us an idea of what kind of side-by-side racing we'll see tomorrow evening. There's another of our former Darlington winners, Cole Deaver. Deaver the winner here at Darlington back in Season 4. And, of course, Darlington, the home usually for the throwback racing. And so Cole Deaver with the throwback paint scheme to the Intimidator Dale Sr. Right now 17th on the board for that Good Wrench Service Plus Chevrolet Camaro. Cole Deaver coming to this one 17th in points. His position did not change in the standings last week. Neither did Anthony McCurry, who's just back there in the foreground of the screen. Anthony is 18th in points. Dylan Poteet last week, though, gained 2 spots in the standings, up to 7th. Still inside the top 10 points, still in a playoff position. 7th on the board right now in terms of the speed charts as well. Poteet's looking for his first win on the season. Levi McIntyre's got a win at Pocono this year. Right now he is at P6 at a 29.308. And already we're starting to see the lap times taper off. 3/10 slower, almost 4/10 slower that time around for the 99. Levi currently is 20th in points. He did not finish well last week after he had a speeding penalty, and he is currently, I believe, in the second wildcard spot. The first wildcard spot right now is Dylan Young, who got displaced out of the top 10 last week. Caleb Fogler now in the third wildcard spot with his victory last week, and Zachary Fitzwater, Connor Breton, and Kyler Sustre, who going into last week's race were outside the top 30 in points, so their wins would not count towards a playoff spot. None of them advanced into the top 30. So right now, the final 3 wildcard spots would go to drivers high up in points outside the top 10, which would be Mitchell Collins, Keith Batson, and Reggie Fogelman. Speaking of Keith Batson, and speaking of throwbacks at Darlington, how about the Dale Jarrett colors on the 39 this week? The Jiffy Lube Ford Mustang. Batson 13th in points. Gained 2 spots in the standings last week. Right now 8th on the board. Currently, Caleb Fogler, last week's winner. James Qualls, Cody Lamas, Dylan Young, Destin Boland, the Fast 5 here in round 1. If they can hold those spots, they'll be advancing into the second round of qualifying to run for the pole. There's James Qualls. Qualls needing a good run here this week to counter the DNF he had last week. He, along with Nathan Orman, mechanical problems had them not reach the conclusion. Despite that, though, it shows how consistent Qualls has been. He suffered a 41st place finish with an engine failure and never changed his position in points. Granted, he lost ground to the points lead, but he is still 4th in overall points. The entire top 4 in points actually never changed positions. Hoyt still is 1st, Evans still 2nd, Turner 3rd, and Qualls in 4th. There's Cody Lamas, 3rd on the board right now at a 29.237. Cody's been really good at qualifying the last couple of weeks. He was outside front row at Coke Zero Super Speedway. He was, I believe, in the Fast 10 the week prior to that at Texas. As he's on pit road along with Keith Batson and Anthony McCurry, making some potential last-minute adjustments here with 7 minutes remaining on the clock. Austin LaPlante. LaPlante last week lost 2 spots in the standings, but he's still inside the top 10, 9th overall. Right now he is 20th on the board, just ran his fastest lap actually here at a 29.750. His teammate just ahead of him, one position worse at a 29.757. Reggie Fogelman, 21st on the board. That's 21st of 22 drivers, by the way, not 21st of 42 drivers, since we have the field split into 2 groups of 22 to accommodate the 44 drivers attempting to qualify this week. Reggie Fogelman also lost a couple of spots in the standings last week. 3 spots lost to 14th in overall, but still got 3 of those 4 Northeast Motorsports cars now up inside of the top 16, with Benjamin Miles moving up in the standings after last week's race. LaPlante got some draft off his teammate. He moved up to 11th with a 29.5 flat. Saw Dylan Pote on pit road, putting on some fresh tires, trying to see if he can improve on his 29.379, which has him right now about 7/100ths outside of the Fast 5. Mitchell Collins right now 18th on the speed charts. Collins continuing to climb up in the points, 2 spots gained last week, 12th in overall points. There's our 2-time winner, our points leader Casey Hoyt. Casey Hoyt did not qualify well last week, and yet ended up getting very lucky in terms of not getting hit with a pit road speeding penalty. Things cycled around for him to be able to finish decently enough that he increased his points lead over Rob Evans. It was 9 points, I believe, between those two going into last week. When they left, 26-point advantage for Casey Hoyt. He also increased his rookie points lead over Will Goss to, I believe, from 4 to 6 points. Right now, 13th on the board, so not currently in line to move on to the Fast 5. There is last week's winner, and the guy who is right now the fastest in Darlington at a 29.226. The Davey Allison throwback, Caleb Fogler. Last week, his 2nd career victory. His first was last year, the first playoff race at Gateway. But this season, getting the win early. Moved up to 22nd in points. As I mentioned earlier, he is now in the 3rd wild card spot, but he wants to continue to climb through the point standings. There's Rob Evans, 2nd in points. 26 points out. He's only 3 points ahead of Jesse Turner, who is 3rd in overall points. So it might be the battle more for 2nd place in the standings tomorrow evening than it would be for the points lead. You never know, though. Destin Bolin right now holding on to the final spot that would advance into the Fast 10. He is 5th position right now. 29.303, the benchmark that drivers need to beat here with about 3¼ minutes left. Destin Bolin coming into this one, 6th in overall points. He lost a spot last week in the standings. The guy behind him, his teammate Will Goss. Goss moved from 6th up to 5th. Super close in the point standings, about the latter half of the top 10. You've got Matthew Rodriguez, who we'll see in just a moment. He is only, I believe it's 11 points behind 5th in the standings. So that encapsulates Will Goss, Destin Bolin, Dylan Pote, Cody Lamas, Austin LaPlante, and Matthew Rodriguez. 11-point separation from 5th back to 10th. Super, super close. Jesse Turner, 3rd in overall point standings. 12th on the board right now, 29.526. Mentioned 3 points behind Rob Evans, 29 points out of the points lead coming into this weekend. There he is. I was wondering where Matthew Rodriguez is. Now, this week is another week where Matthew Rodriguez is not driving an entry out of the Haas Racing stables. That is going to be Benny Watson driving in the number 80 this week. We'll see him in Group B. Matthew Rodriguez over with Bishop Family Racing. His sponsor, Steak and Shake, followed him over here for this race. But Matthew Rodriguez, usually, I think every race that he has attempted to qualify over in the 17, he has failed to make the start. He has 8 starts to the 11 races that we have completed, and I believe the 3 races that he has missed have all been while attempting to qualify in this number 17. Right now, he is 9th on the board, 29.426. He needs only 1 driver in the next group to beat that lap time. If 2 drivers do, then Matthew Rodriguez will miss out on his 4th race on the season. Matthew Rodriguez is a former winner here at Darlington as well. He won here back in Season 5. And after last week, another solid outing for him. He moved back up into the top 10 in points, so he doesn't have to rely on his 2 victories for a wild card position at this point in time. Reggie Fogelman might have a flyer of a lap here. He got a big toe down the back straightaway. Let's watch this. His last lap was a 30.9, which is almost a full 1.5 seconds off of his fastest lap. And he was a whole full second slower, even with the draft lap there. So we'll see if Rodriguez, if he sets the benchmark high enough. Qualls right now second on the board. Cody Lamas right now third. They're in good position to advance. Both of them looking for their first pole on the season, I believe. Right now, our Fast Five are all drivers that have not yet started from the pole. I think last week we had, 4 drivers that had previously won a pole, and Chris Darlington sniped 3 of them. I don't think we have any former pole sitter in line to move on to the next round, at least here from Group A. Dylan Young, who was the first out on the racetrack, there he is, fourth on the board, 29.297. As we got 30 seconds left, let's find the 12 of Destin Bolin, keep an eye on him, see if his position changes at all. Right now, Levi McIntyre, who is the first car out of the top 5, sixth, is 5 1,000ths short. 29.303 for Destin Bolin, 3:08 for Levi McIntyre. 3 Fords and 2 Chevrolets that would move on to the next round. A couple of them out of Young Motorsports, one out of Blue Oval Automotive, one out of Joanne Atwood Motorsports, and the single car entry out of Llama Racing. And I honestly don't think we're going to see any change in the top 5. Destin Bolin apparently feels the same thing. He's not going to put any more laps on those tires. He's coming to pit lane. I think that is going to do it. Caleb Fogler, 1 week removed from his first win on the season, second of his career. He's going to be the fastest in Group A, Round 1. James Qualls, Cody Lamas, Dylan Young, Destin Bolin going to join him in the Fast 5, advancing into the final round to run for the pole position for all 5 of them. It'll be for the attempt to get their first pole of Season 7. Matthew Rodriguez setting down the benchmark for the other 3 Go or Go Home non-charter drivers in Group B at a 29.426. We'll see if anybody is going to be able to topple that in their attempts to qualify into the 2 available non-charter slots in tomorrow night's race. Levi McIntyre, he'll start in the 11th spot tomorrow evening. Then Dylan Pote will be in 13th, Keith Batson 15th. Matthew Rodriguez, if this holds, he will be in 17th, and Reese Banks will be 19th in the starting lineup. Everybody else, they are qualified into the show. They are chartered drivers. A couple of surprises there. RJ Bishop, he's been good in qualifying as of late. Nowhere near the top of the board. Same for Cole Deaver and Mitchell Collins. They've also been quite good in qualifying, and they were not up near the top of the board either. Darlington is very much so outside of pit strategy, is a track position racetrack, so a lot of big names starting mid-pack rear of the field tomorrow evening. Be interesting to see if they'll be able to work their way to the front, or will they have to rely on the pit strategy we have seen in the past. We'll have to wait and find out, but it's Fogler, Qualls, Lamas, Young, and Bolin. They're advancing to the Fast 10, and we got Group B of round 1 of qualifying coming up here right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Round 2, well, Group 2, I should say, of Round 1, rather, set to take to the track here at Darlington. Fastest 5 will end up joining Caleb Fogler, James Qualls, Cody Lamas, Dylan Young, and Destin Bolin in the final round of qualifying to run for the pole position. 3 non-charter drivers looking to better the 29.426 laid down by Matthew Rodriguez. That was 9th fastest of the group that he was in. Charles Sanford, the defending champion, first out onto the racetrack. Charles Sanford slowly climbing his way up in the point standings. Gained 3 spots last week, up to 24th. Still looking for that first victory on the season. Remember, though, Charles Sanford actually did not win last year until very late in the year. He was looking like he was in position to potentially point his way into the playoffs, but then he ended up getting the late regular season win, which all but confirmed he was going to be in the playoffs. So Charles Sanford, at least based off of last year's history, had the late season dramatics. Could be doing it again this season. Did not get the season started off well, but as I said, he has now been slowly trending in the correct direction. His first lap going to be a 30.210. That would have put him about 18th on the board back in Group A. Probably going to improve on that. Still getting up to speed, getting a little bit of heat in the tires. Obviously no draft coming into play. A lot of the 29 2s and 3s that we saw back in Group A guaranteed draft came into play. Charles improves to a 30.020, but he is not top of the board anymore. Jessica Shelton coming out onto the racetrack there. Great run for her last week. Best finish for that number 94. Her first top 5, first top 10 here of Season 7. Gained 3 spots in the standings to now 39th. Long ways to go still for that team to be playoff eligible. Nathan Ormond also last week was not a recipient of a good finish. He finished dead last, and it was due to a mechanical problem. Because of that, Nathan Ormond dropped to 41st in points. That put him next to last of the full-time chartered drivers in overall standings. The furthest down right now is actually Joshua Osborne, who is 42nd in overall points. All right, well, we talked about 3 non-charter drivers here in Group B. Here's one of them, running the Dale Earnhardt Sr. Throwback, the McDonald Chevrolet out of JM01 Motorsports. This is Jack Mitchell. Of course, we see him in the Duracell Ultralight Series running full-time there. But Jack Mitchell attempting to qualify here at Darlington, a track that got him his first win back in Season 3. We saw Jack attempt the qualifying for the Daytona 500, failed to make it. If he is able to qualify here tonight, tomorrow night he'll be making his first Duracell Cup Series start of the season. Talked about Jessica Shelton, there she is. Of course, the Bill Elliott throwback here. At the throwback track of Darlington. Just clocked in 9th on the board, 29.637. More than likely will improve. She can get a little draft off the back of Jack Mitchell. Matt McIntyre in the 21. Matt coming into this one 36th in points. He was starting to climb up through the point standings, but had a bit of a bump last week. He will look to improve again this week. 18th on the board right now for the Mako Mermaids Ford Mustang as the Coca-Cola Pepsi wars continue. We saw this last week. We saw this the week before. Daniel Boyles right now 4th on the board. Daniel Boyles got a top 5 run or top 10 run, I think it was last week. So he improved to 29th in the point standings, up 7 spots. Ryan Butcher right now 2nd on the board in 78. Ryan Butcher gained 2 spots last week, 32nd in overall points for him. Now, I already talked a little bit about Joshua Osborne, the season he's having. Second full-time season as a chartered driver for Joanna Outwood Motorsports. Of course, last season had that win at Pocono. This season, though, it has been anything but good, as he is still looking for his first top 10 on the year. He and his teammate Quentin Moore are the only 2 now that have not scored a top 10 with 11 races in the books. And he is 42nd in overall standings. Granted, he has 1 less start than a number of others since he failed to qualify back at Mid-Ohio. But nonetheless, of all the drivers that are chartered, he is last of those drivers overall. Now the 2 Haas cars are nose to tail here. Benny Watson. We saw him qualify back at Pocono. Finished 13th after starting 16th. now looking to make his second start on the season here at Darlington. Another former winner, won the inaugural race here all the way back in Season 1 for Otter Island Motorsports. Now here with the Haas Racing Equipment, which has put Matthew Rodriguez in victory lane twice at Daytona and Indianapolis this season. And his team owner, teammate right behind him, Matt Haas, with the M&M's throwback. Right now those two are 13th and 16th on the board. More importantly, though, we would look at a lap time of Benny Watson in comparison to Matthew Rodriguez. Rodriguez with a 29.426. Watson is just a little off of that. He's about 6/100ths off. His fastest lap, 29.484. So he needs to pick it up a little bit here to be able to qualify in, or at least he needs to finish ahead of Jack Mitchell and Kyler Sustre here in the current running order, which, according to Sustre, is not going to happen because he is top of the board at the moment. We'll try and find him in just a few minutes. There he is back there. Quentin Moore, looking for his first top 10 this season, winner from Dover last year. Quentin coming into this one despite not having a top 10, 25th in overall points. That's actually quite impressive when you consider that he has no top 5s, no top 10s, an average finishing position of about 23rd, and he is 25th in overall point standings. So the consistency, I guess, is still there. It's just not inside the top 10 each week. Laura Chung right behind him in the Denny Hamlin throwback, Sports Clips Toyota Camry. Laura Chung lost 7 spots in the standings last week. That is a net total of 14 spots that Laura Chung has lost in the last 2 weeks. From 21st to 35th in 2 weeks. That is tough. Right now she has a chance of advancing into the Fast 5 to run for her second pole. She started the pole back at Texas about 3 weeks ago. She's 4th on the board right now. There is the fastest here in this group. That is Kyler Sustre. So Kyler Sustre, with a 29.283, is guaranteed that he will be in the show tomorrow night. Former winner from Las Vegas. Kyler Sustre, I mean, basically now the goal is he needs points. He comes into this one 38th in overall point standings. He is, in quick math, a total of 18 points below the cut line. Needs to get back in the top 30 for his win to count towards a wild card spot. And last week was not a step in the right direction towards that. Carson Gum right behind him is second on the board. The Kurt Busch throwback, Sharpie Rubbermaid Chevrolet. Carson Gum, 23rd in overall points, the former champion. Little interesting note, it was this car, well, this number I should say, 2 seasons ago that Matthew Rodriguez put in victory lane here at Darlington. It was a conglomerate effort with the 3 drivers per car, with Carson Gum, Matthew Rodriguez, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Charles Belding might have been the 3rd driver of that team. Zachary Fitzwater, 1 point below 30th in the standings cut line. Our winner from Mid-Ohio needs to get back into the top 30 for his win to count towards a playoff spot. Right now 16th on the board for him. Just needs points. Kind of like the Kyler Sustre and the Connor Breton situation. Speaking of Breton, there he is. 13th on the board right now for the Bobby Labonte throwback. Breton comes into this one 18 points below the cut line. He's actually tied with Kyler Sustre. Nick Gunther right now 10th on the board. Gunther's put together a good couple of races. Last week gained 5 spots in the standings, now up to 33rd. This is a driver that I think was as far down as 41st in the points. He's gained, I think, 8 spots in the last 2 weeks in the standings. Of course, a far cry from where he was at the start of last year, but continuing to improve here as the All-Star break draws closer. Zach Rogers right now 15th on the board for the number 6. Rogers lost 4 spots last week, 34th in standings, just kind of waiting for him to break out. Remember, Zach Rogers was, I think, 2 times in the Final Four to compete for the championship. That was, of course, very early days back in, I think it was seasons 2 and 3. Jose Mills hoping that Caleb Fogler going to victory lane last week is a sign of good things to come for the Blue Oval Automotive cars. Sixth on the board right now for the most winningest driver in the Duracell Cup Series. Jose 27th in overall points, though, coming into this weekend. Ryan Brommer. Man, I don't know what this team has to do, but last week was definitely a turnaround race. They ended up missing out on Mid-Ohio. They have struggled in the point standings, but last week he brought it home in the second position behind Caleb Fogler. He was almost having a chance to run down Caleb Fogler with the traffic they were dealing with, but he jumped up 9 spots in the standings because of that runner-up finish. 26th in overall points right now for Ryan Brommer. We'll see if that is the springboard he needed to be able to continue to climb his way up through the point standings. I mentioned this last week that Ryan Brommer, ever since he went over to Auto Junction Racing, even I think when he was driving in Season 5 in the conglomerate effort over in the 32 team for what was then Pigeon Racing, I think a lot of people really kind of just saw him as a seat filler, but we have to remember he was a runner-up for the championship back in Season 2 to Ryan Acosta. Right now, Benny Watson and Jack Mitchell, a couple of former winners here at Darlington, are below the cut line. They are on the outside looking in. Kyler Sustre is locked in. His 29.283 at the top of the board here in Group B easily betters Matthew Rodriguez's 29.426. Rodriguez is the benchmark right now. The closest to him is Benny Watson at 29.484, which is a little under 6/100ths short of advancing in. Jack Mitchell is nowhere close, 29.841 right now for him. And if the first group qualifying was any indication, the lap times are probably not going to improve here. 2 minutes left. Especially for Mitchell, the fact that he's the lead car of this kind of duo, that's not going to give him a draft lap. Oh, Kyle Matthews, this is a throwback that we failed to mention. It's not an exact throwback, but kind of throwing back to Kyle Petty in the mellow yellow car. Matthews 18th right now on the speed charts at 29.516. Kyle Matthews coming to this one 40th in overall points, still looking for his first top 5 on the season. It has been quite a flip-flop year so far for the defending champion organization. At one point, Sanford, Matthews, and Shelton were all outside the top 30 in points. Sanford has now started to ascend the point standings. Cole Deaver has basically been the front runner for the organization in terms of good finishes. 17th overall in points at this point in time. I believe he's got the most top 10s of the team at 3. Charles Sanford has 2. And Shelton and Matthews have 1 each. Shelton, of course, getting her first one last week. They're going to go 3 in a row. A lot has to change here in the second half of the regular season. As after this week here at Darlington, we're at Chicagoland, and then it's the All-Star break in preparation for Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, Benny Watson and Jack Mitchell, neither one of them have improved on their lap times. A couple of full-time drivers out of the Duracell Ultra Light Series trying to win the championship over there. Champion ends up getting a guaranteed ride in next season, a guaranteed chartered ride in next season's Duracell Cup Series field. Kind of like how Will Goss was able to make it into the field here in Season 7 for Young Motorsports, winning the championship for the showcase. Right now, Kyler Sustre, Carson Gum, Ryan Butcher, Laura Chung, and Daniel Boyles would appear to be the drivers in line to move on to the final round of qualifying. I believe there's 2 former pole sitters in that, Chung and Voiles. Chung, the winner, the pole sitter, I should say, at Texas. Voiles, the pole sitter at Coke Zero SS. And it looks like Matthew Rodriguez is going to make the show. Kyler Sustre is going to make the show. The two full-time non-charter drivers are going to best the part-timers. Benny Watson and Jack Mitchell will not see Darlington glory again here in Season 7 at Darlington Raceway. So we had our Fast Five from round 1. They'll be joined by Sustre, Gum, Butcher, Chung, and Voiles. Mills will be starting 12th tomorrow night. Osborne 14th, Shelton in 16th. Matthews Brommer will complete the top 20. Benny Watson 15th on the board, and Jack Mitchell 21st on the board will not be enough to advance them into the show. They will be the two that will fail to qualify. I believe that Watson is scheduled for Dover in the second half of the regular season. Mitchell, I'm not sure off the top of my head if he's scheduled for any other races to try and attempt to qualify, but a tough break for both of those drivers. We'll see them when the second half of the regular season begins. We'll see them when the Light Series resumes, as they're running for the championship over there. Watson, I believe, is the points leader currently in the standings in the Light Series, but our 42 drivers are locked in now. We know who at least is going to be in the grid. We don't know, though, what the top 10 is going to look like. 11th place on back, we do. Who's going to get the pole position? I'm going to double check and see. I believe only 2 drivers are former pole sitters, so an 80% chance that our streak could increase to 12 races, 12 different drivers starting on the pole position. We'll find out if that's going to be the case, though. We may end up making some Season 7 history with a repeat pole sitter. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have another quick race break, and then we'll be back here for the final round of qualifying from Darlington. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed what you're watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Alright, 5 minutes on the clock. Not sure they're even going to need that much to be able to put down a lap time fast enough to get the pole position. They'll probably only need about maybe 2-3 minutes to be able to do so. The tires, I think, will wear down too much late in the session. As 10 drivers look to vie for the pole, 8 of them for the first time can confirm. 2 former pole sitters moved on to our Fast 10 this week. Some recent pole sitters as well. Laura Chung, who had the pole 3 weeks ago at Texas. Daniel Voiles, who had the pole 2 weeks ago at Coke Zero Super Speedway. The other 8 all looking for their first pole on the season. We saw last week some late session miracles from Chris Darlington, bettering a bunch of the former pole sitters on the season to be able to increase the streak to 11 straight races with a different driver on the inside of the front row. Will we get a 12th, or will we get our first repeat pole sitter in Season 7? Kyler Sustre, the first car out. Sustre, the fastest in round 2. Group 2, I should say, at a 29.283. Surprisingly, that would have only put him 4th on the board in Group A. Fogler, Qualls, and Cody Lamas all would have beaten that lap time, and pretty handily, by 5 100ths at least. 29.959. First lap time laid down there by Kyler Sustre. Lap times will be obviously much slower than they were in the round 1, both Group A and B, because not as many cars, not as much opportunity for draft lap. But I do think that draft is going to come into play into who's going to get this pole. James Qualls there, he was 2nd in Group A. 30.295 for him. We got some other drivers out there just warming up. I like the position Laura Chung is in right now, in the wake of Cody Lamas. And then Destin Bolin might be able to get a really good tow down the straightaway here if he's got enough or a little less gap between himself and Laura Chung. Laura Chung, though, I think could have a shot at this pole depending on what she's able to do in the draft of Cody Lamas. Let's see. Does she go to top of the board? Yes, she does. 29,626 for the number 77. That it's going to blow Kyler Sustray's 858 out of the water. Dylan Young maybe going to get a little draft off of his teammate Destin Boland. The Young Motorsports drivers might be working together here. Oh, he's close too. Man, this is going to be a flyer for Dylan Young, but I think he's only just now going to be on the clock. 29,555. That puts him third on the board right now. Because Laura Chung just clocked in at a 5:01. Cody Lamas at a 5:34. If Dylan Young's able to stay behind the 12 here and not get checked up going into 3, he might have something for him, though. Somebody else just jumped up ahead of Dylan Young. Not sure who that is. Let's see. D. Young's got to go into the 29.4s. He does. 29.3. 29.391 for Dylan Young. Holy crap. And all of a sudden, his lap time is gone because Kyler Sustray... No, correction. Sustray is 29.449. I thought that he was ahead, but Dylan Young with the 3 right now is on the pole position. Daniel Voiles, hold on a second. Voiles might be able to get a toe off of the 2. He's now third on the board, 29.412. Can he get enough draft here to be able to get into the 3s? No, a little slower that time, 4.31. Dylan Young slower by 0.2. But he's second on the board. Who beat his lap time? It was Sustray. Sustray got the draft off of Ryan Butcher. 0.002. 3.89 to Dylan Young's 3.91. Daniel Voiles might have a shot here, though. Nope. 10 slower. Dylan Young side by side there with Destin Boland trying to get around him. 29.401 for Laura Chung. She's close. She needs to gain 12 hundredths right here, right now. I think this is the last scored lap, too. Otherwise, Sustray's got the pole by 2 thousandths over Dylan Young. Is there an improvement? No, there is not. Almost a 1/10.5 slower for Laura Chung. Kyler Sustray. He's going to be the fastest man in Darlington. He was top of the board by about 3 100ths over his next competitor in Group B, Round 1. And he's going to, by 2 1,000ths rather, snipe Dylan Young for the pole position. Sustray going to become the third driver to have won a race and captured a pole here in Season 7. Will Goss was the first. Levi McIntyre was the second. And Sustray becomes the third. He's headed pit road. He knows he's got this thing wrapped up. Too many laps on the tires here. No way anybody's going to improve their lap time. And Kyler Sustray's Chevrolet will be alongside of Dylan Young's Ford, bringing us to the green tomorrow night. So Kyler Sustray putting no doubts in anybody's minds as to whether he was going to qualify for this race as a non-charter entry, as he was top of the board in both sessions he was in. Look at that. 3.89 to a 3.91. 2 1,000ths difference for the pole here. Really close for third place as well. 5 1,000ths between Laura Chung and Cody Lamas. They'll share the second row with each other. Daniel Voiles and Destin Boland's Fords will be in row 3. Caleb Fogler, 1 week removed from his victory. He'll be 7th. James Qualls 8th. Ryan Butcher and Carson Gum going to complete the top 10 for tomorrow night's starting lineup. Well, should be a good one, always is. That's why Darlington has been a mainstay venue on the schedule ever since Season 1. It's brought about first-time winners, some interesting strategy usually, sometimes a little bit of unpredictability as well. That's the beauty of the Lady in Black. Hope you guys tune in tomorrow night for our 12th race of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying session. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. 12 different pole sitters in 12 races so far here in the first half of the regular season. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for the main event here from the track Too Tough to Tame. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.